NBA free agency kicks off on Friday, and the more you look at everything that's happened already, everything that may possibly happen, and everything that we know for certain will happen, the NBA is in a very weird yet significant spot. Like, the talk of the summer so far has consistently been Damian Lillard. I love Dame and everything he represents, but he's becoming one of the more annoying names in the entire league. Game, incredible to watch. On the court and off the court, may possibly be the most solid dude in the entire NBA. But the reports are killing me. The GM and him talking out of both sides of their mouths is killing me. The now awkward blend of the future and the past/present still in his prime is killing me. Scoot Henderson even playing his position while wearing double of his number awkwardly is just weird. That situation has to be handled this summer, or the Portland Trailblazers are not a serious organization at all. Also, from Chris Paul joining the team and player that haunted his last decade, to Marcus Smart leaving Boston, to us having the greatest prospect possibly ever, exactly 20 years apart from who they previously considered the greatest prospect ever. Bro, we're just in crazy NBA times. Today's video is sponsored by Manscaped. I've talked about Manscaped for a while, mainly to help you guys maintain hair on your face, hair downstairs, even hair in your nose. But now, Manscaped wants to help you guys cleanse your body a lot more effectively than you probably are. Their Buff Bundle contains all the tools you need to really get the job done. Kicking it off with Manscaped's Body Buffer, which is a handheld exfoliator brush designed to help you remove dead skin cells, bacteria, and those irritating ingrown hairs. This is an antibacterial silicone scrubber made to nourish, cleanse, and exfoliate your skin, and it creates more lather without harsh, painful scrubbing. The bundle also features 2 bottles of their ultra premium body wash. If you want your body to get the most effective cleanse with what I believe to be the most effective tools, go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping when you use my promo code SWISH. That's 20% off plus free shipping with my promo code SWISH, only at manscaped.com. The Warriors now have Chris Paul, and it's so weird. I still don't know exactly how to feel about it, and if CP3 happened to win a championship with them, the ring would feel funny. This is a dude that admittedly chased Golden State for the better part of the last decade with like 3 different teams. This is a dude that had an extremely intense rivalry with Steph since he took his undisputed belt for the best point guard in the league. And Chris Paul is a player, a legend that's never come off the bench before. When I think of Chris Paul, I think of him, 1, being the perfect prototypical throwback point guard, and that's not typically the Warriors' style. I think of him 2, being like a pick and roll maestro. The Warriors have been last or near last in pick and roll possessions for the majority of their dynasty. And I think of him having one of the most deadliest mid-range games of all time. And I've seen a lot of that on Golden State, so it's a crazy full circle moment. I don't know exactly how that move is going to look specifically on the court, but it was a great move for the morality of that team and definitely financially. Moving Jordan Poole to Washington, which I think is going to be great for Jordan Poole individually, it got them off a contract that aged bad the moment he got rocked by Draymond. Of course, Chris Paul is on a pretty big deal next year, but it's essentially only 1 year left on that deal. So Mike Dunleavy created space for them to sign Draymond to possibly that $100 million contract, and Klay's contract expires next year. So they will have cap flexibility for the future. I don't think Draymond is going anywhere, especially after Jordan Poole just left, and I love them prioritizing his core and maximizing Steph's window. Also, James Harden. It's been reported going back to Christmas that it's mutual interest in him reuniting with Houston, and I still don't understand it. Okay, the Rockets, they're going to have the most cap space of any team in free agency, mainly because they're not paying anyone since embracing a rebuild once they traded James Harden. But if James Harden came back on this massive deal, he's eligible for a 4-year, $200 million contract. It would, 1, eat up a significant amount of the cap they created since trading James Harden just 2 years ago, and 2, throw a little bit of a wrench in the much needed rebuilding direction they've embraced since trading James Harden. I don't really get that. Also, that roster, they have 4 perimeter players with Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, who they just drafted 2 years ago, Amen Thompson, who they just drafted in this year's draft, and the steal of the draft, Cam Whitmore, all under 24. So Again, I don't understand that logic. Not even mentioning Şengün, who feels like a baby Jokic and he's 20, and Jabari Smith Jr., who you just drafted with the 3rd pick last year. With all that cap space, they can throw multiple bags at a variety of key role players that complement the direction of Ime and the young promising talent they have. Not James Harden. That era is past to me. I know James Harden may be exhausted from expectations, which is really what it feels like, but Philly just makes the ultimate sense. If I'm Philly, I'm not really comfortable paying him exactly what he's eligible for, which is like a 4-year, $210 million contract. But I don't really want to lose him either, because you really can't afford to, unless they put together a package to get Dame, which they could do, but I don't really foresee. What else is really out there? This isn't a heavyweight class of free agency guards. I don't see them getting Kyrie. I don't know if they want Kyrie. Fred VanVleet reunite with Nick Nurse. That's cool, but you take a step back to me. And what else is out there? D'Angelo Russell Westbrook. Like, what you don't want to do is take a gap year directly after Joel Embiid's MVP in the middle of his prime, and Joel Embiid is injury prone, so you don't really know how long you have left. And he'll be 30 next year. Signing James Harden back kinda is priority. Also, Memphis getting Marcus Smart from Boston, which I really liked. Sure, I wasn't a big fan of them giving up 2 first rounders for him. It just felt like a lot. But Marcus gives them a lot on the court with experience and within those little intangibles. Defensively, we know he's like the most annoying foul drawer with charges and stuff like that, and he's a pretty tenacious perimeter defender. And also offensively, he gives you a bit of playmaking for others, especially with Tyus Jones gone and Ja gone for 25 games. So to me, he fits in seamlessly. Memphis desperately needed a clear leader. This guy was the leader of one of the better teams for the past half decade, so they got their guy. But with Memphis getting Marcus Smart, that meant Boston lost him. And I hated that for Boston, losing a player like Marcus, because he was truly the heartbeat of that team. But in a deal where you get 2 first rounders and a player of Porzingis' caliber, Brad Stevens had no choice but to take that deal. It just sucks that they had to sacrifice Marcus Smart. Now with Kristaps, they have a player that can get easier buckets around the rim, because that team lived and died by the 3, and to me that was a problem. He can score in the low and the high post, and if need be, he can stretch the floor. He's just that perfect fit where they can plug him into any lineup and they don't necessarily have to sacrifice on either side. Offensively, I think we just know he obviously fits in. And defensively, he's so tall that he inevitably gives you elite rim protection without even having to do much. Since he's been drafted, he's been like top 8 in blocks a night. So it's just a great fit. You just hate that they had to sacrifice Marcus. The Trailblazers drafted Scoot Henderson, a 6'2" point guard that shares the exact same position as Dame, a player that I believe will be one of the better point guards within the next 2-3 seasons, a player that fits the direction they should be trending towards, yet they still can't let go of this Dame stuff. I love Dame, but they're making the same mistake Washington did with Bradley Beal in a more competitive conference. Dame reportedly has this priority list that to me is still nowhere near enough. Re-signing Jeremy Grant, especially on a big deal, it's not enough. Even if they somehow stole Draymond Green, that's still not enough. Even if they got Bam Adebayo, that's not enough. Even if they traded for 40-game Zion, that's still not enough. The only way Dame can truly contend for a championship is if he leaves Portland, and subconsciously, I think he knows that. Portland is not even close to Golden State as far as their ability to truly compete, but it feels like they're battling the exact same problem Golden State is currently getting out of. You can only blend the future and the past for so long. At some point, you're going to come to that crossroad where you literally have to pick a direction. Portland was one of the youngest teams in the league last year. You know who was actually the oldest player on their team? It was Dame. In a league leaning more towards versatile wings with size really being a key component in order for you winning. Look at the last 4 champions. Look at the last 4 teams in the conference finals last year. Their best player is a smaller, older guard. A lot of their best talent, especially now since they just drafted Scoot Henderson, comes from smaller guards. They don't really have that versatile wing that pushes the needle in order for them to win a championship. And quite frankly, they're not really available for Portland to get. Dame has been overall one of the best players in the league since he's joined. But amongst stars, he's had one of the worst playoff winning percentages since he's joined. In fact, historically, like all time, amongst players that average 20 points a night in the playoffs, he has the 3rd lowest winning percentage ever. And the only 2 players that's lower than him have actually been his teammates. He has to leave. when you look at the last 3 decades, it feels like for 3 consecutive decades to start the decade, we got that new, innovative, creative player that can possibly reshape at least how we look at the NBA. In 03, we got LeBron, where he was like this perfect blend of Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, and he got criticized for being not quite the killer/scorer that Michael was, yet he scored just enough to crucify him if he leaned more towards his Magic side, especially late in games. In 2013, exactly 10 years apart from LeBron, of course we didn't know it at the time, or else he would have been a much more hyped prospect, but we got Giannis, a player that runs the floor and passes like a point guard, yet he has the size, he defends, and he rebounds like a center. I think players like Giannis were key in eliminating the traditional power forward that used to be like a part-time center. Now, power forwards typically favor the Giannis archetype, where they can handle the ball, preferably play on the wing if need be, and preferably guard 3 to 4 positions. Now, exactly 10 years apart from Giannis and 20 years apart from LeBron, we have a 7'5" center that can handle and bring the ball up the court like a guard and rebound and defend like a big. Sure, he'll have to gain weight, and injuries are a major concern, and he'll have to adjust to the physicality of the NBA. I just think of Evan Mobley in that Knicks series, and like, bro, he's gonna have to gain weight for sure. But we've never seen that skill set quite at that freakish frame. Even with the major injury concerns, I love the fact that he went to 1, the Spurs culture, and 2, an organization that has a representation of catering to their stars' health. So it's actually the perfect match. If you guys like this video, I just wanted to talk about a few things that's happening around the NBA and drop my thoughts. When the free agency stuff happens and we have all the results, I'll be covering all that, talking about all the moves. So stay tuned for that. Follow my social media sites. Do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, as always, stay tuned.